Good morning, everybody. It's Travels with Dottie, and we're into double digits in September of 2024 because it is now the 10th. We have Dottie back there starting her morning. It's a balmy 38 degrees outside in far north New Mexico, Eagle Nest, 30 miles due south of the Colorado border. And it is 6:27 a.m. I actually got kind of a late start this morning. I woke up at about 2 in the morning, shivering. It was cold because I'd lost electric, and I had to quickly switch to the onboard furnace on the RV to heat back up. Everything else worked off of batteries, and the electricity came back on at about 5:15 or so this morning. So we're in good shape. We're going to start reading the comments, but first I got to talk about this bizarre. This is very bizarre. I want to talk about two videos that were released yesterday. One is my daily comments and coffee, which I have grown to immensely enjoy. So comments and video one is comments and coffee 9924, and the other one is the hidden secret of St. James Hotel. The rest of the title is The Hidden Secret of St. James Hotel's Ghost Room. And I was so excited about doing this video. You know, for those of you that don't know, it's a historic hotel here that for years has had a guest room they've padlocked and closed off due to problems with a ghost. And you can see the outside of the door. You can't go inside. And I've wanted to see the inside of that room for so long. And they're closing the hotel. They're actually closing it in a week on the 17th. And they've sold it. It could be closed for good. We don't know. But they did allow me to go in, and I got an interview with one of the employees. I loved the video. And it took me 2 days to get it, and lots of work and lots of editing. Okay, here's my point. So the comments and coffee outperformed it on YouTube. Yeah, it outperformed it. It's got more views. It's got more watch time. It's got more retention. People liked it better. I'm not sure. Yeah, no, that's not true. Comments and coffee got how many likes? Hang on. I need to. 31 likes and 1 dislike. And the hidden secret of St. James fairly got a little bit more, 38 likes and 1 dislike. It's funny, on so many videos, there's always one person that hits the dislike button. And I'm going to assume those are people that click based on the thumbnail or something and misunderstand what it is and go, well, this isn't what I want. I don't like that. Click dislike. That's what I think probably happens. So let's get to the comments. So the 3 videos yesterday were, of course, the hidden secret of St. James Hotel. The comment video and the news video, positive news video, was Vandalism to Kindness is the title. And that was, I believe, out of Canada, a guy that had done these free book exchange stands, and they were all vandalized. And it was just a horrible. Someone had set fire to the books in one of them. Just a mean-spirited, horrible thing. And he decided to react with kindness, and he figured out how to rebuild and make it better. And the neighbors joined in, and it turned in a very negative, ugly thing into a positive, kind, wonderful thing. So that was that story. So we start with Randy commenting on that very story, and she says, "Never let the evil and hate enter your heart or mind." You bet. And then Beverly Pethel 8091 on the hidden secret of St. James Hotel's guest room. Fascinating. Thank you. And I know who Beverly is because Beverly and I worked at the same place in 1987. I knew her from 1987 to 1990 in Virginia. And I happen to know she loves, and Bevy loves a ghost story. So that's where that comes from. Then, same video, my buddy Lisa Roth. You did a great job covering this story. I really enjoyed the interview. TJ's room, and that's the ghost room, the lock room, has pretty well has such pretty wallpaper. I think I've seen fabric similar to that. I got a kick out of all the things people slid under the door. I'm sad the hotel is closing, and I hope there will be a new owner who appreciates the history of the hotel. Thanks, Rob. Thank you, Lisa. And then we have Michael's Human. Were you able to find any old newspaper stories that collaborate what happened to TJ? TJ, great video. No, I did research. There's no indication anywhere that this to verify that story. I couldn't find anything. So if any of you amateur sleuths can find some documentation, that'd be great. The only documentation I found is a ghost hunter saying, hey, it can't be true, because I found TJ's name on either voter registration or I think census or something in Albuquerque like years later. M. Campbell says, outside the hotel where you were sitting, it really doesn't take much imagination to see a hitching rail and a couple of horses instead of that truck. And believe me, that's what my imagination was seeing as I was sitting there, sitting next to Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp. Nancy Kane, I had a short called My Loyal Travel Companion, and My Loyal Travel Companion, spoiler alert, it's just a short, and my travel companion that I'm talking about here is Gratitude. Ken Gray, on the vandalism video, perhaps the people who did the destruction were in need of help. If they are found out, I hope they are helped constructively. That's what we all hope when people do things they shouldn't do. Anne-Marie Sikorsky on the hotel video. Great video, Rob. Thank you so much. Ken Gray, same video. Nice tour. I hope someone buys the hotel and reopens it. Yes, that's the hope. Naj on the same video. That was so kind of them to let you film the room. It's a beautiful hotel with a lot of history. I hope they preserve it. Me too. And Renee, I'm going to go, RO60E is going to be Roscoe. I'm going to go with that. So Renee Roscoe, very, very cool. Love the story and hotel. And Don the First says, did you feel any vibes in TJ's room? And I said, hard to tell given my high expectations. So you go into a room that's supposed to have a ghost in it. It's hard not to feel something, but you don't know whether it's the ghost or your expectations or what. Susan Jack says, thank you for doing this video. I was curious about what TJ's room looked like. I've always wanted to visit the area and spend the night at that hotel. I hope someone will buy it and keep it open. Did you slip something under the TJ's door? No, that didn't occur to me because I got in, so I didn't need to slip my message under the door. So let's see. Naj says 30. This is on comment video. 39 degrees. Stay safe and warm. Safe journey Monday. Safe journey Monday. It's Sunday. I'm leaving. Sunday. I'm leaving. Judy. Hey, Judy. I personally, this is on Comments and Coffee. I personally paid for BLM many times through taxes. I paid for the 55 years so I don't stay for free. And I don't go to the vendors. I don't spend extra so I can pay for a space in the summer when I get to see family. Most of us stay at the LTVA, are there for the winter and not just for the Big Ten or the vendors. Yeah, there were, in the comments from yesterday, there was somebody throwing a lot of shade on people expecting to, hey, people shouldn't expect to stay free and people are wrecking all the BLM lands, kind of the negative stuff like that. she's saying, hey, I know Judy stays in the LTVA, and I know she pays the $180 just like everybody else. And also, I think she's referring to the free 14-day year. She's paid for that. 55 years of paying taxes in the workforce that's the payment for the 14-day free areas, or not free, we pay. Um, let's see. This stopped Dottie's barking. I did a short on this little gadget here that's worked really successfully. Dottie has never been a barking problem dog at all by any stretch. I bought this as a gift for a friend that had a serious barking problem, and she just wasn't into it, so I kept it. And Dottie developed this habit recently of barking incessantly at dinner time, and she wouldn't respond to me verbally at all. So I use this. It sends out a sound. It startles them, and it would stop her immediately. And we did it like 2 nights in a row. And then the third night, I picked it up and she stopped. I didn't push the button. And then the next night, she started, and it was on the table next to where I was standing, and I touched it, and she stopped. So, pretty cool. Somebody, I think we'll see it. On Facebook. I duplicate a lot of these shorts on Facebook. Said that, hey, don't get excited. We had that and it worked for a while. Then the dog caught on and it was useless. So we'll see. Nancy on that says Dottie was trying to find out what is for supper. On comments video, Judy says, Dottie is onto your shake the treats game. She kind of is. Naj said, Judy needs bubble wrap suit for the bike. That's Judy made a comment yesterday that said if she gets on an e-bike, she's going to have to wrap herself up like the kid in A Christmas Story, with the arms. Bubble wrap's almost as funny. Randy on this stopped Dottie's barking. As a person who just took her in her fifth dog, I'm always looking for dog products that have personal recommendations. Thank you, Rob. My mini dachshund isn't too happy with the new addition and barks at him. The new dog is very skittish. He's very clearly abused and starved. I know there would be an adjustment period, but barking isn't helpful. We'll try this thing. It'll affect all the dogs in the room, trust me. But it'll get all it. George reacts to it too. The first time I did it, they both stared at me when they heard the noise. It's not a pleasant thing for either cats or dogs, but it's very brief. It doesn't hurt anybody. It mostly grabs their attention. And I'm going to take that back. I look at Dottie's ears go back, and it's not just an attention getter. If it was just attention, the ears would go up and she'd look curious. She looks not pleasant. So I'm not going to say I'm going to say it's unpleasant, but it won't hurt them. Utah Paul said regarding the price increase, he means the LTVA price increase proposal. I agree they should increase the price, but don't triple it. I think, they went from 180 to 600 for the season, and for $40 for 2 weeks to $200. They're eliminating that the 2 weeks and saying the small stay is going to now be 30 days, and that's $200. So I think he says, I think 300 is a fair price, and the 2 week limit shouldn't go up to $200. I think it should be 100. And he was mistaken thinking 2 weeks is going up to 200. It's going up to 200, but it's going from 2 to 4 weeks. So I had a lengthy response to that because I have opinions too on this. It's 30 days for the 200, so I pointed that out. They eliminated the 14-day pass. Making the 30 days $100 would be a really good compromise. I feel pretty strongly about this. Many, like me, stay 4 months. So I stay November, December, January, February. That's 4 months. So that would be, if they made a month $400, right? Which was 80 before, right? 40 and 40 with 80. So versus that would be $400 for my whole stay every year. So instead of shelling out 180, I'd have to give them $400 instead of the six. It's still a lot more money, but it's a lot better. It's more palatable for me than 600, or for anyone really. But a healthy increase over the 180. It's a $220 increase. And if I was really sensitive to it and wanted to go someplace else, or maybe do sort of bookend my stay, or one end of the stay with a 2 week, 14-day thing, I could cut that down, or I can lengthen my stay by coming into a 14-day area, then moving to the LTVA for X number of months, and then at the end move out to a 2 week and then leave. I can squeeze an extra free month out of that, so I could actually get 5 months if I wanted to. I think that would be a great compromise. Destiny Cisco said, "You are so and the same thread said, "You're so funny, love and light, everyone." Destiny is probably saying we're both of us are bouncing these numbers all over the place like crazy, and it's probably reads kind of funny. Let's see. User, generic user. He's so non-bothered. What a life. That's George the cat. George the cat. That's just a short I did of George. And George is doing nothing, licking paws, and I say, "Hey, kitty," and George looks up. That's the whole video. And got a lot of views. People ask for George stuff, so I acquiesce and I put some George stuff out there. M. Campbell on the bark thing used a similar product for the neighbor's dogs that were constantly barking the other side of a shared fence. The neighbor's feeling was, "They're dogs, they bark. It's an outdoor quality and sound activator to work great." That's the thing about this thing. If you're in a campsite and there's dogs next door barking, humans can't hear this. The dogs will hear this, and there's a good chance they'll stop friggin' barking. And she had one that was mounted outside that she said was weatherproof and would detect the barking sound and go off automatically, and that worked for her. Famous unknown to the hotel video. I am an open-minded skeptic about those kinds of things. But the scratches around the knob and padlock on the outside of the door would have unnerved me a bit if I was about to enter that room. I also hate to hear when any kind of historical building is possibly going to be raised and redeveloped, but being such a fan of that area and those larger-than-life characters, this one is a kick in the gut to think it may be going away. Yeah, I agree. It really is in good shape and original flooring, and it's beautiful. And I can't imagine that someone would buy it and decide to tear it down. I don't know what, I think it's probably a certified historical landmark. And I don't think it's easy to just tear down a historical landmark, even if you own it. I think there'd be pretty wild tax consequences. I think. Back in the day, I know that there were tax credits available when you bought property that had historical landmarks, and I don't know. And to the idea of renovating it, the whole charm and the reason people come and stay there is it's original, right? So comments and coffee. Renee Roscoe says, if it's not Roscoe, next comment, tell me it's not Roscoe, but it's spelled R-O-6-OE. So right on point with the BLM. Randy says, I did a short of a hailstorm. Still beautiful, rain or shine. I think we'll get to the comment. I can't remember whether the comment I'm thinking about is on here or on Facebook. I think it might have been on Facebook, but somebody was really concerned. Oh my gosh, that's hail. You need to, it causes damage to RVs. You need to get up on your roof and check everything. And it's like, no, I don't. Here's the thing. I didn't know this until this year. And I checked it out and made sure it wasn't just someone talking without knowing what they're talking about. At over 9,000 feet, hail is not a damage problem for anybody because at that altitude, um, the hail cannot form large hail, only small, like pea or less. This was I've seen many hailstorms here, and it's been far less than even pea size. So, lower elevations, though, yeah, you can. One a YouTuber, got her Airstream totaled by hail. Crazy, but here, up 9,000 feet, not an issue. Robin said, "I always thumbs up your videos," and I responded and I said, "Robin, I always thumbs up your comments." She goes, "Yes, you do. You don't have to. I'd be okay." Don the First says, "Am I looking at rain or hail?" And I said, "It's hail." All right, Lisa Roth to comments. Insurance company versus Medicare is actually HMOs and PMOs and whatever MOs who actually are in business to make money, and no, it doesn't have to be that way. And I responded then, I said, maybe Medicare for all and the elimination of all healthcare private insurance like most other modern nations. And it's like, I would think that this is eventually going to be something that both sides of the aisle are going to agree on. Because, competition has not been real successful in lowering the costs of healthcare insurance, has it? There's lots of insurance companies out there. And the only affordable healthcare you can get is that under the Affordable Health Care Act. And, in many cases, 90 or even 100% of the premiums are just subsidized by your tax dollars. Right. So there's problem number one is the open competition isn't doing what, we hope it would do with prices. And it isn't doing what we would hope it would do with quality. And in quality for us as patients and insured parties is that I get the care that I need when I need it. And so often with insurance companies, because let's face it, they're in business. This is not their fault. Okay. I don't blame them, but this is the business that they're in. The business that they're in is collect as many and as much premiums as you can and pay out as little as possible. And the difference between those two things is profit. And they're for profit. It's a free market. That's what they're supposed to do. And there, like any business, there's ethics involved, where, you shouldn't deliberately try to hurt people in that process. And if you are found to be deliberately trying to hurt people, the civil courts and maybe criminal courts will punish you severely for it. There's a John Grisham movie about it. I think it's called, is it The Rainmaker? I can't remember, but it's about an insurance company really going too far and getting really, really punished. So anyway, my point is that what has worked in many other countries is government controlled and sponsored healthcare. And, none of us like the ideas, the government really. But actually, if you look at statistics that talk about the administrative costs of Medicare as a percent of its size versus insurance companies, Medicare is far more efficient. So that's kind of a shocker that some big government operation is actually efficient. Heck. So that's my thoughts. And my little bit informed opinion, and I say that very deliberately because do I really thoroughly understand all the issues associated with healthcare and insurance and the implications of government care? No, I do not know what I'm talking about. My knowledge is very surface. It really is. So take that with a grain of salt. Um, I could be proven wrong probably pretty easily, but that's my current kind of feeling on the subject. Um, anyway, oh, and one more piece of evidence is Medicare appears to work really well for seniors in this country, and that is basically government tax supported um, insurance for seniors. And the only time you hear complaints is when people opt for these advantage plans and to supplement their Medicare, and they run into problems because you're back to relying on an insurance company instead of the government when you do that, because the government pays the insurance companies to say, hey, we'll pay you X number of dollars a year to manage this person's entire medical care. So they jump in there, they take that, and then their objective with you is, I'm hoping I can take what the government gives me to manage your health, and I hope I don't have to pay out anything because it'll all be profit if you don't get sick. And if you do get sick, we're going to be really stringent about how you do it and how much it costs to do it because we need to make a profit. That's why I'll never get a Medicare Advantage plan. I'll always get a Medicare. I'm going to get a Medicare supplement plan, which is only administered by an insurance company that's paid a much smaller amount just for the administration, and they don't get to make any decisions. Medicare retains all that. Lisa Ross says, sounds like a great idea to the dog bark video. And Naj is the one that says, oh no, a friend of mine got badly damaged from hail. You should inspect your roof when it stops. And I responded, I said, at this altitude, hail is very small and does not cause damage. Hail is frequent here. It's true. So King for a Day. I like what King for a Day did. I'm going to guess this is what King for a Day did. And you tell me if I'm right about this. King for a Day is a frequent commenter and said, hey, when you come back next year, you should explore a little bit more. Check out the Enchanted Circle. Check out Taos. So my response to him was, I think I said, yeah, I'll do that. Keep in mind, I do already have videos on that area. So he went and he found one, Taos, New Mexico, and that was from last year. So he commented on that old video. Last I visited was late 60s. And by the way, I have, if you're liking the content, I have 1,200 video. I think is it possible that it's more than that? Hang on. Let's see. How many videos does Travels with Dottie have published? That is the question. And we're going to visit channel. Hey, this is Rob, Travels with Dottie. 1,000. It's playing one of my videos. It's 1,300 videos. So I have 1,300 videos you can watch. Isn't that crazy? Crazy. I have a lot more videos than a lot of bigger YouTubers. I just don't, the 200-300 views per video versus their thousands and thousands. Big difference. So I make up for it in volume. Lisa, on the vandalism video, I would like to believe that this kindness would turn into a greater number of places where books can be found. I also like your idea. Let's see. And outstanding video from Pool Chuck 66. That was on the St. James Hotel. My one title, quartzsite LTVA rates go up. D. Hanlon says the BLM will host 2 virtual public information sessions about the proposals at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, September 10th, today, and Wednesday, September 25th. The Yuma field office will hold a virtual public meeting on Wednesday, September 11th from 5 to 7. an in-person public meeting in Quartzsite on Wednesday, October 9th, and 2 public information sessions on November 6th at Imperial Dam LTVA in November 20th in Quartzsite from 1 to 3. Public meetings are interactive where attendees are invited to ask questions and provide comments. D. Hanlon, thank you. Valuable, valuable information. In fact, I am going to copy your comment right now. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to find my video that you commented on. I'm going in there right now, and I am going to paste this into the comments. What did I mean to say to you? The description. So I just want to make sure it took. Yeah, it's in there now. Thank you. Wow, valuable comment. Thank you. And the last comment is from Annie's Shenanigans. Annie's Shenanigans. I don't know this person. I've never seen this screen name before, but I bet Annie is a pistol. I'm going to guess. She's responding to "This May Change Your Life," a short where I talked about how I threw everything away in the corporate world many, many years ago, and sold all my stuff and downsized and reinvented myself. And she said, "I did it at 40. No regrets. I'll be quitting this soon. Working in healthcare has become just as bad." That's funny. I went to work in healthcare too, a business. Then I went to healthcare, and there were sort of indications as I was retiring that things were getting tougher and tougher and more politics at work, but it wasn't that bad where I was. I was at, I want to give them a shout out, Fairfax County, Virginia. It's Fairfax County Community Services Board. This is every county is under a state mandated community services board that gets state and also federal funding and grants and things to provide community mental health services. And I was part of an amazing group of people in emergency services, and this is mental health emergency services. And I'm going to go on about this a little bit and bore you maybe. And let me tell you that I am convinced this is okay, I got cut off there because I got going so long in this video. It ran up, an alarm went off on my phone for a Zoom meeting that I had. So the light probably looks suddenly very different because it's an hour later. Anyway, what I was saying is that I found that organization likely to be the best and most unique public mental health service in the country. That's a bold statement, isn't it? But I'm going to tell you why I'm saying it. Because the base of it was the clinic, and the clinic was open 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. COVID, no COVID, snow, no snow, rain. It was open, right? And you could walk in. The police brought people in. At the end, EMS was bringing people in. Anyone having a mental health crisis was brought in there. And part of what we did was we were the government authority that would do evaluations for putting people into the hospital involuntarily that were a danger to themselves or others. But that was kind of a separate thing. We worked with the magistrate's office, got people placed in hospitals that we felt were going to hurt themselves mostly. Very rare it was because we thought they were going to hurt someone else. Then there were just families would bring someone in that was in mental health crisis, a lot of severe stuff. And it's unique to have a clinic that's open 24/7 like that. And it was all licensed, fully licensed, Psychologists, clinical social workers, and licensed professional counselors were available. Plus, here's the biggie, there was always a minimum of one psychiatrist on duty in there in the clinic. And if you if you go into here, it's basically, if you go into the clinic in crisis, low income people, they don't pay anything. It's free. Even the psychiatrist, and they even sometimes would have uh, uh, sample medications that companies would donate, and you'd walk out with a prescription and medications for free. And it wasn't like the psychiatrists, the who were medical doctors, were this separate, higher than you thing. We all worked in an open room together, and there was a good friend of mine. Who's a very talented psychiatrist. There was a table with 4 workstations, and we sat across from each other. Every shift we worked together, we sat across from each other. And when someone would come in, there were private rooms, so you could meet with people, and you'd go meet with the client. And then the big room is where we would all consult with each other and do our fill out our paperwork and make phone calls and do the between clients things that you needed to do. So this was a place, if you're in Fairfax County, Virginia, and you're having a mental health crisis, you can walk into this place, and you can see a therapist and or a psychiatrist right there, right then. And there was pretty rarely a long wait. I mean, there were times where a lot of people would come in, and we'd get concerned with how many people are out in the lobby and how long they've been waiting. There was a board that was up on the screen that showed us how long people have been waiting. And we'd do things like, if people have been waiting a long time, we would stop what we were doing and go out to the lobby and check in with them and make sure that they're okay, and explain that, apologize for the wait, and say we're going to get to you. And if we get out there and they're kind of freaking out, we would move them, even though we might not have someone available right then. We'd move them inside to one of the private rooms, or we would find one. Somehow, some way, we would find a place to put them that they could have some privacy and be a little calmed. But that was a pretty cool thing to be a part of. And it didn't stop there, guys. It got even better. In addition to the clinic, there were 3 amazing programs. One was called the Mobile Crisis Unit. And the Mobile Crisis Unit it's like a clinic that we take out into the field for people that either can't come in or won't come in, that are in crisis. And we worked in pairs. You'd work with a partner, and you'd come in the day, and there were people that would call into the clinic and be concerned about a neighbor or a family member. And the first thing you'd say, you're concerned about your family member, bring them in. They won't come in, but they're in crisis. They won't come in. You can't force them to come in. Okay. Well, if they're in no immediate danger, we need to get the police out there to evaluate what's going on. But most of the time, it was just, they don't want treatment. They don't want to come in. And we'd say, well, we can send our mobile crisis unit out to your home to talk to them. Or even you could call about a neighbor. Hey, my neighbor is acting really strange, and I'm really worried about him or her. And we would go out, knock on that door, and we got very skilled at getting people. The big thing was getting people that were resistant to even talk to us. And then once they talked to us, and we discovered they really need help, we convinced them to accept the help. And in some cases, we'd put them in the car with us and take them back to the clinic and get them the help that they need, or I've taken them to the hospital. I've called an ambulance and said, let's take them to the hospital, get them in to the psychiatric unit at the hospital. We can transport them by, we're not comfortable with them in the car, we can get EMS to transport them. That was cool. That was so amazing. And then there was, well, actually, part of that was if the police had like these things that you see on TV, like barricaded suspects, like people holding hostages and things like that, um, they would call us into the scene, and we had training in giving the police and the negotiators information, mental health information of that we could help them in their negotiations to get someone to come out. That was cool to do. That was part of the responsibility. Then there was, and I didn't really have that much to do with this because it was so recent, where there was, they called it the co-responder unit, where the model before this was if there was a mental health crisis, there were police officers that were trained as mental health officers, and they had pretty rudimentary training in mental health where they could evaluate someone to determine whether or not they could take them under a emergency custody order to bring them usually to our clinic to get evaluated for involuntary hospitalization. It was a emergency custody order, could be initiated by any police officer. It was good for 8 hours in total, and that's enough time to get them into a provider in the CSB community where I was in the clinic to get someone to evaluate them and decide where to go from there. And it could be half the time we'd say, no, there's not really enough here. They can go home. And we give them some options for treatment, or no, they can't go home. They're not safe. We're going to call the magistrate. We're going to get a court order, more formal court order that would keep them in the hospital for like, say, a couple of days. And, they'll be evaluated in the hospital, and they'll have a hearing, and a judge will decide, do they stay in the hospital or do they get to go home? It's a pretty cool process. But anyway, the model was, in every district, there were a few mental health officers. If there's a crisis, they got dispatched to it. Then they went to the co-responder, where they actually put one of us in the car with a mental health officer, and all they did was respond to mental health calls throughout the city. Throughout the county. It was a county police department. So you have not only that trained police officer, you have a licensed therapist. You're going out and intervening in these mental health crisis things. That was a really cool thing. Then the other one that I got involved in that I was really passionate about was it was a co-responder program, but the co-responders were a mental health provider and a paramedic. And what we would respond to, and it was less urgent situations than mobile crisis, would be people that were frequent users of the 911 system. And until you get visibility of this, it'll blow your mind that there are people that call 911 every day. There are people that call 911 multiple times a day, right? People with mental health issues that call in are sometimes abusive to 911, or they just have a mental health issue or a cognitive or intellectual issue that they're constantly calling 911 for help, and it's taking up resources. So we would take referrals from both the police department and the fire department on frequent users of that system. And it wasn't just mental health, it was medical as well. And there are people that would call maybe every day because someone elderly would fall in the house and the person with them couldn't get them on their feet. And the fire department would have to come out and help. They call it a lift assist, which isn't a big deal. And let me be clear, firefighters are usually pretty happy to do that. The thing that it does, though, is it takes them out of service So if there's emergency a block away and they're in the middle of picking this guy up, they can't go to that emergency, that really bona fide life-threatening emergency. So um, if they're being taken out of service every day in a particular fire station for a particular person, it's a problem. So we would go out and evaluate, and with the paramedic would do sort of like a medical evaluation of what's going on, and we would figure out, hey, how can we get this person to be more independent and self-sufficient, and can we get them some in-home care? And we basically would become we would become social workers, but it was a lot of fun. We helped a lot of people, and it was a joy to have a partner that had a different discipline, and we would get involved in really a lot of unique, interesting situations. And we had the luxury of being able to keep a person on our service and keep dealing with them for there were a couple that over a year we would establish this relationship and keep contact with people in the field to reduce the 911 calls. Sometimes we wouldn't eliminate it, but we'd reduce it and keep it reduced because we kept going out on a regular basis and meeting with these people and checking in with them. And that was really cool. So I went on for 15 minutes about my old job, and I apologize if I bored the hell out of you, but what an amazing service Fairfax County, Virginia provides. And if you know any other government mental health emergency services that is equal to that one, let me know about it, because I'd be interested. I'll see you tomorrow.